What's going on, guys? Your boy Rad Amazing here. We're back with another video, and in today's video, guys, we're going to be doing our first 5-star review. And what this video is going to entail, guys, is going to be going over the base kit of the character, giving you guys my thoughts on how I feel about Xilonen with her best artifact set, the team comps that she has, and then where I would rank her against other really strong 5-star supports in the game, and how I actually feel about this character overall. If you guys enjoy videos like this, man, definitely make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I appreciate all the support on the channel as of late, guys. We are closing in on that 600 subs, and we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. At 1,000 subscribers, guys, I will be doing a Welcome Moon giveaway. So if you guys do want to make sure that you are a part of that giveaway, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And yeah, with that out of the way, let's hop in and let's talk Xilonen. Alright, guys, so the first thing that I want to do for Xilonen is talk about her talent so that you guys get a good grasp of how this character works. And then once we actually do that, we'll talk about her best artifact set, her weapon that is going to be her best in slot, and then where she actually ranks against other characters in the game, and my kind of thoughts on that. So for her normal attack talent here, guys, this is going to be a you only really worry about this normal attack talent if you're trying to run Xilonen as a main DPS character. The way that this works is that it's going to be scaling through her defense percent, and also spoiler alert, her elemental skill on a mono geo type setup will infuse her normal attacks with geo damage bonus. You guys can see right here, when her normal plunging attacks are in this mode, they will switch to being based on her defense, and Xilonen can deal Night Soul line geo damage that cannot be overridden. So she will get geo damage for her normals, and that's going to be very strong, obviously, right? So if you want to run this character like main DPS, that is an option. It's not just that this character is a support, she has that main DPS viability. Now for her elemental skill, the TLDR for this, guys, because there's a lot of reading that you have to go through for the elemental skill, but the way it works is that if you have 2 pyro, hydro, cryo, or electro characters on the team, and it can be a mixed match of any of them, so maybe you have 1 cryo, 1 electro, or you have 2 electro, or you have 1 hydro, 1 pyro. Like, you can pretty much mix and match, and you can even do more than 2. You could do pyro, hydro, cryo, or pyro, hydro, or whatever, right? As long as you have a minimum of 2, Xilonen is going to provide a 36% elemental res decrease, and this is going to work for any of the types. There's no specific way of proccing this other than when you go into her elemental skill and you do the tap attack, and you'll have that elemental res shred, and I think it is for 15 seconds. Yeah, so the source sample activation duration 15 seconds. So 15%, what is that? 15 second 36% elemental res decrease at talent level 10C0. That is a very, very strong effect, guys. I mean, really, really strong. And then if you do have, let's say, 3 geo characters, or you're running like 2 geo, 1 in Nemo, right, and you're not hitting that pyro, hydro, cryo, electro source sampler amount where you need a minimum of 2, then she actually becomes a main DPS geo character where she's gonna, as I mentioned, infuse her normals, and you're gonna deal geo damage on field, which is gonna be very, very strong too. And if you do want to run the character in that mode, you definitely can. One thing to mention though is you will not get the elemental res decrease though, because of the fact that you're running her on a mono geo team. The only way you're able to get that is going to be by having her Constellation 2. Her geo source samplers will always remain active, and that allows you to get the the res shred for geo as well. So alright, now moving on to the elemental burst here, guys. She has 2 ways that this works, so it obviously depends on the elemental types on your team. So let's say you're running 2 elemental types from pyro, hydro, cryo, electro, then Xilonen's actually going to heal nearby allies based on defense and at intervals, right? So you're going to be getting, I think it's like 6-7k healing right there, depending on the defense you're at. I mean, my Xilonen's at about this is on the wrong set, guys, because I'm running DPS Xilonen on this set, but usually my Xilonen does get around like 3,200, give or take, so I'm healing about 6k on the burst, which is really, really good. And you can see right here, this is the scaling here, so it's 1,000 defense plus 187% of your defense, so that is obviously very, very strong, right? So having that as a bonus. And then let's say you're running a mono geo team, then what happens is for this burst, it actually does not become a healing burst. It actually changes into a AoE geo damage based hit, and it's going to hit about 3 times on the enemy, and it's actually a pretty strong skill. I think this is actually very, very good to have leveled up as well. And then for the rest of her passive talents here, guys, it's just a bunch of stuff that's going to buff her depending on whether or not she has the 2 source samplers on the team. So if she does have at least 2, she's going to gain even more Night Soul points. And then if she has fewer than 2, then she's actually going to gain damage for her normals and her plunging attacks, which is very strong. And then this one's going to be where if you're running another Night Soul character on the team, you actually do gain defense as well. So, you know, going to be synergistic with a lot of other Nat Link characters too. And then, yeah, the last 2, you know, passive talents here are just kind of how she works in game, where, you know, when you do the elemental skill, you're going to be in a Night Soul aligned, Night Soul blessing state, right? So this is where you can kind of run around, and it's very nice for travel in the game too. I actually do like the travel aspect of that, you know, effect for elemental skill too. So yeah, that pretty much covers her talents right there, guys, in general. You know, again, as I recommended, I would say her elemental skill is going to be the #1 you level up, then her burst, then her normals. If you're going for her on main DPS, then probably do her normals first, and then her burst, then her elemental skill. But because Xilonen is such a universally, you know, able to be used character, I just went 10-10-10 across the board, because I actually love running this character main DPS, and I love running her as a support. So that gives me the flexibility of being able to run her in any way that I actually want to run this character. Alright guys, now another thing I wanted to mention about this character too is her best in slot artifact set. Now that's going to be Scroll of the Hero of Cinder City, and the reason why this is such a good artifact set is because it actually is able to give up to a 40% elemental damage buff after triggering an elemental reaction for that elemental type. So let's say Xilonen makes a crystallized shield for Pyro, then what's going to happen is she's going to actually provide 40% elemental damage buff. If this was not a Night Soul Blessing character, it would only be 12%, but because she has that Night Soul Blessing state, it's going to be an additional 28 plus the 12, which is 40%, guys. So yeah, a very, very strong artifact set. Pretty much this is like Kazuha's passive in an artifact set, right? It's funny too, because Kazuha and Xilonen, they're pretty much like opposites of each other. Their artifact set is elemental res shred for Kazuha and elemental damage bonus for Xilonen, and then her talent here actually provides elemental res decrease, where Kazuha's talent actually provides elemental damage bonus. And, you know, that's kind of the main difference between the two, is that, you know, Xilonen's able to get, no matter what, the 36% red shred, right? Whereas with Kazuha, you're always going to be getting the elemental damage buff, but for that specific type. Whereas with Xilonen, it's literally, the red shred is for everybody, guys. The red shred's for everybody. The only time that you're not getting a specific buff from Xilonen is if she does not react with the element that you're trying to get. So that's where I feel like, you know, Xilonen kind of edges out Kazuha a little bit. And also, for just like the feel's sake, she just does feel a little bit easier to play. You switch in, you elemental skill, tap, tap, boom, you switch out. And it's very, very simple to do. And then if we're talking weapons here, guys, Peak Patrol Song is a very, very strong signature 5-star weapon for this character because it's able to give up to 25.6% elemental damage to any character on your team, and it's for 15 seconds. That's a very massive buff, and the way you're able to get this is by having a certain amount of defense on the character. You guys can see I have 3,300 defense, and the max cap for this weapon is 3,200 because it's you know, 8% elemental damage for every 1,000 defense. So, you know, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and then the extra 200 you know, finishes out at 25.6%. And yeah, that's why this is really strong. Even as a on-field weapon too, guys, this also provides all elemental damage bonus for the character too, and defense increase as well. So maybe let's say you're not able to hit that threshold. If you do maybe 1 or 2 normals before you proc the you know, the red shred, then you're actually going to proc the weapon, and you probably will have that 25.6% buff for the entire team. I've seen it work, you know, even if you're not at that max, you know, 3,200, which is good. So yeah, guys, overall, if I had to rank Xilonen, man, I would probably put her as number 3 of the top 5 of characters in the game right now, in my opinion. If you guys haven't seen my top 5 for must invest, I'll link that video in the description. But my ranking was, for you guys that don't know, I had Zhongli at number 1. Yes, very controversial, but I had him at number 1. I had the DPS characters at number 2 being Nuvolette, you know, Arlecchino, all of that. And then I had Farina at number 3, and then I had Kazuha at number 4, and then I forget my number 5 actually. Yeah, I'm honestly not too sure, but pretty much, guys, I would rank Xilonen as number 3, I think, or 4. I think the thing is with Farina is able to give her buff to any character. You can be Geo, you could be Physical, you could be Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, Electro, Dendro, whoever. That's why I think Furina is a more universal buffer than Xilonen. But there are teams that Xilonen is going to feel a lot stronger than Furina specifically. But I think these characters just synergize well, guys. You have healing on this burst right here for Xilonen, and Furina gains fanfare stacks when you're either healing or losing HP. So that's very synergistic, and you know, I think you can probably just run them both together. It's the idea. It's the same thing where like people run, you know, like Nuvalet Hyper Carry. They're like, oh, why not just run all of them together? Yeah, I mean, why not, right? You do Nuvalet, you do Kazuha, you do Xilonen, and boom, you have a very, very insane Hyper Carry team. And I don't even think that this is a bad team at all. It just takes all your really good supports, right? Of these 3 support characters though, guys, if I had to rank it now, I would say Furina number 1, Xilonen number 2, Kazuha number 3. But that's not to say that I think, you know, Kazuha is a bad character, because I still think Kazuha is a great character. I just think that Xilonen is providing a little bit more. You know, remember too that Xilonen is also able to buff Geo as well, guys. I don't think if I mentioned that fully, but she is also able to buff Geo through her elemental skill with the res decrease if you're running 2 Geo on the team. So let's say I'm running you know, 2 Geos and then I run 2 of the other elements, we are still gonna proc these source samplers. So if I was to run Zhongli, you know, Xilonen, and then I run 2 Hydro, 2 Pyro, or you know, Pyro, Hydro, whatever, we mix and match, you could do whatever, you will still get the res decrease for Zhongli and Xilonen. Or you know, let's say you're running a DPS character, Arataki Ito and Xilonen, and you know, Noelle. So yeah, no, like there's a ton of flexibility with this, and you know, having that also that extra element that Kazuha does not have that you can actually buff as well, I think is gonna, you know, allow Xilonen to edge out versus Kazuha in my opinion. So yeah, and then, you know, again, even with their signature 5-star weapons, I think Peak Patrol Song is a little bit better than Kazuha's Freedom Sworn, because you're getting all elemental damage buff, whereas Kazuha is giving normal charge, plunging, and attack percent, which, you know, could be more valuable in certain situations. But elemental damage buff is universal, like everyone can use that, unless you're like, you know, Eula, then you can't. But for the most part though, guys, like this is gonna be a little bit better than Freedom Sworn. So yeah, that's kind of like how I feel about Xilonen, guys. So if I had to rank her with the top supports in the game, she is number 2 to Furina, because I think Furina is the number 1 support in the game. Or well, I say Zhongli is the number 1 support, but it's more of a reason of like his comfort factor versus Furina doing more, because Furina does do more than Zhongli, yes. But I like Zhongli a little bit better because he's more of a comfort character. You run Zhongli to protect your team, and you also do buff your team too. So yeah, I don't know, guys. It's a little complicated, but if you guys haven't seen my top 5 must invest for free-to-play video for a must pull, definitely check that out. It goes over my supports, it goes over my DPSs that I think are very insane in the game. And yeah, I would pretty much, the TLDR though is Xilonen is a little bit better than Kazuha, but not better than Furina. So I think that'd probably be my number 4 on the list. And yeah, I think she should be number 4 or number 3. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, man. That's going to be it for the video, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. Xilonen is just a fun character, man. Either on Mono Geo, on you know, like a support setting like this, she is really good, man. And yeah, I mean, I've been having a lot of fun personally. Like one team one setup I will show you guys right here is Uraku with Husk of the Opulent Dreams, guys. If you run like a full set of Husk with Uraku on Xilonen for like a main DPS one, that's very fun to do actually. So I really do like running this, and you can still run Peak Patrol as like main DPS if you want as well, guys. But yeah, man, like Xilonen is just a super fun character, and that's my 5-star review for Xilonen. So just a bunch of rambling from me, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And if you guys haven't seen any of my other showcases with Xilonen, check out the channel. I've done multiple different showcases. I've shown off pretty much like every typing I think I've covered for Xilonen. Yeah, because I've shown Nuvalet, I've done Raiden, Chlorine for Electro, I've done Ayaka for Cryo, I've done Hu Tao for Pyro. What else have I not done? I've done Geo with Arataki Ito. I still want to do Noelle. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers all the types, right? Yeah. So I've pretty much shown off every single type and how they work alongside Xilonen. And yeah, in my opinion, guys, I think she's just a very, very good character. Must summon, in my opinion, a must pick up. I would definitely at least go for one copy of this character while she's available. I know that we got other characters coming in the future too, but she's just so good. She's a lot of fun, and yeah, you guys won't regret it, man. So that's gonna be it for the video. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and we'll see you guys on the next one, man. Peace out. Have a great rest of your day. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, guys, and we'll see you guys on the next one.